So for this part of the video, we are going to be doing a wee quick instructional demo, and it's around click tracks and alternatives, more precisely to click tracks, because a lot of my friends have been doing home recording projects in lockdown at the minute, and maybe it's been their first time trying out DIY recordings, their first time setting up a home studio, or maybe they've done it before but they're still just getting into it. And a thing that I've noticed a lot of people have been struggling with is getting used to click tracks, because maybe in previous recordings they've been playing along the guide tracks in the studio, or they've tracked their stuff live with a band. But getting used to a click track is a whole different skill in itself, and they're looking sort of like a quick fix on how they can get around having to play with click and do something that they're a bit more used to. And I have been pointing towards using drum loops, and more in particular the virtual drummer on Logic and GarageBand. I think it's a fantastic tool, and I use it with a lot of clients as well, who have the same problem in the studio around using clicks. So the way this works is that, obviously it will be in time with whatever tempo you set, and like all drum loops will be, but also this will actually change the drum pattern based on the sections of your song and feel a bit more dynamic. There's actually also a feature that will feed off your playing and play along to your recording rather than you playing against it. So it's quite useful, but we're not going to be talking about that in this video. So the first thing you want to do is set the global tempo for the track that you're recording. You can do that by changing the tempo up here and listening to the click. I know that's counterintuitive to this video. If you can play along to the click, then why are you watching this? But I find often you can play. Usually the case is that you can start off playing with the click and it's fine, but you meander off halfway through the song or a few bars in. So that's what this video is really for. But we can use the click to find the global tempo of the song. So if you just scroll up and down, I'm going to be changing my project myself there by doing that. But if you can scroll up and down between that and find what tempo you can play your song at comfortably, then that's going to be the tempo of your track. Set that, and then this one is for anyone who has already got a structure for their track. I know a lot of people are going to be starting up projects that they are just jamming over and don't necessarily know the whole outline of the track, and that's fine. But if you do know the general outline of your song, I recommend using the arrangement feature here. This might not come up automatically for people in their projects, and if it is hidden, this wee button here will show all your global tracks. That's your arrangement, your marker, your key signature, and your tempo. So we want to look at the arrangement button here. The section, I've laid mine's out as you can see here, but when you open this up it will be empty, and when you hit plus it will give you an intro, then it'll automatically give you a verse and then a chorus and then a bridge. But you can change all of these and for whatever section is coming up next and lay out your whole structure. Then if it isn't an intro, verse, chorus, bridge or outro, you can also write in it understands language like pre-chorus or solo or instrumental and stuff like that. So that's going to be important for us later on, because when we set up the drummer track, which we can see here, when you add in new sections that you see here, this one just says drummer, because if you look at our structure here, there isn't a section laid out here, while the rest are all called verse or chorus or bridge. Well, this one isn't, but I don't know why. But this one, because it doesn't have a section above it, it'll just play the default one. But if we add in a bridge there, then it'll add in a bridge section for us. That will be like a typical drum pattern for a bridge. So like the way we have more cymbals and more energy in a chorus, the same for a bridge. It might have more ride cymbal, or it might go to a slower sort of speed. It might be a bit more somber. Um, an outro might have more toms or something. It might be more energetic. So it's different depending on what way you set it. And I'm going to show you how you set all those parameters now. So if we go into our library, first off, when we create the drummer track, we can choose from all the different styles and genres here. So I've gone for a punk rock because that's the type of style of this wee quick project that I threw together earlier. But if it's more of a pop songwriter or a trap type of sound, that's the type of patterns that we'll get if we choose that type of drummer. We can choose from a lot of different drum kits here. If the drummer that you've picked doesn't sound too great to your ears, you can scroll through those as well. If we head over to our editor here as well, you'll see that the preset that we've picked here is Mudslinger, and Mudslinger is a very complex and a 75% loud track, but we can listen to that, and if we thought that pattern was maybe a bit too boisterous, a bit too loud, we could take that down. We could make it a bit more easier sounding, and the same goes for the verse. That'll be I've set a custom one for that. That's because I've probably chose one of the presets and just changed the parameters there. I've maybe taken the hi-hat down a bit, and or maybe I made more focus on the hi-hat and less focus on the kick and snare. But there's so many different parameters you can set there. But as we hear, if we solo the drummer track, you'll hear that there's a big change between this intro and when the verse kicks in. It's a completely different pattern. And then if we go forward a bit to the chorus, you can hear that's a different beat altogether. And this pattern, as I mentioned, has more cymbals, is a bit louder, a bit more energy in it. Then when we go back down to the verse, it's a lot more somber again, as I said. So and most of that was all automatically added in by the drummer track because of this structure that we have up here. So that's what I mean by it being very handy with a few different clicks, and by setting a few different parameters, then you can fine tune that. But if you want to do a quick project and have something to play along with, there's nothing better than having that drummer track, especially if you're not too versed on programming drums yourself. Having that behind you will be much easier to play along with, especially with the difference in dynamics going from the verses to the choruses as well. It'll feel like playing along the drummer in real life. So off that, I put in a picked bass and 2 guitar tracks off that I tracked. Now, excuse the sound of these, because I probably should have played the click with these, because it probably don't sound too in time, but I was able to play with this rather than have the click on. So let's hear what that sounds like. Yeah, so as you can hear, a lot of the parts are all mostly in time with each other, and I was able to record that track without using a click, and this would be perfect as well, because now I know this whole track is in 120 BPM, so I could send this over to the other members of my band, and they could insert my stems for this track into their own session and add layers on top of that. So that's it, folks. Hope that was informative for you, and I hope that helps anyone who is struggling playing along with a click track. I'll see you next time.